step into the golden era of muscle cars as I spotlight the 30 greatest V8 engines that defined raw power and speed. From legends to rarities, this is one ride you don't want to miss. Hit that subscribe button now and fuel your passion for all things muscle cars. At number 30 is the Ford 410 FE engine. The Ford 410 FE engine, part of Ford's venerable FE, short for Ford Edsel family, is a bit of a hidden gem in the world of classic performance engines. Introduced in 1966 and primarily offered in Mercury vehicles like the full-size Monterey and Montclair, the 410 FE was a one-year wonder designed to bridge the gap between the torquey 390 and the brute force of the 428. Its rare production makes it a sought-after engine for enthusiasts who appreciate its unique balance of power and smooth operation. The Ford 410 FE was essentially a 390 block fitted with a 428 crankshaft. This clever engineering created an engine with a displacement of 410 cubic inches and delivered impressive torque, nearly 465 pounds at 2,800 RPM. It came standard with a 4-barrel carburetor, ensuring that it could hold its own in the performance arena. The 410 was rated at around 330 horsepower, though like most FE engines, it had plenty of untapped potential with a few aftermarket tweaks. The 410 FE showcased a compact and lighter design without sacrificing the grunt needed for heavy full-size cars. Its special components, including forged internals and high-flow heads, made it durable enough for spirited driving. The 410 FE was primarily mated to Ford's Cruise-O-Matic automatic transmission, emphasizing smoothness and ease over aggressive shifts. What makes the 410 FE particularly rare is its limited availability. Produced for just 1 year, it was overshadowed by the more famous 428 and was never offered in Ford-branded vehicles. This exclusivity adds to its mystique, especially for collectors of Mercury's mid-60s models. Cars equipped with the 410, like the Montclair and Monterey, are rarer today, especially in good condition. While not as widely celebrated as Ford's other FE engines, the 410 is cherished by those in the know for its unique place in Ford's performance history. Vehicles equipped with the 410 FE engine are often found in the hands of dedicated collectors. Depending on condition and originality, they fly off the shelves anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 or more at auctions. Though it doesn't have the legendary status of the 427 or 428 Cobra Jet, the 410 FE holds its own as a smooth-running powerhouse that deserves its share of spotlight in Ford's muscle car legacy. Next, at number 29, is the Dodge Red Ram V8 engine. The Dodge Red Ram V8, introduced in 1953, is billed as the brand's first HEMI engine, setting a benchmark for power and innovation. Some call it the baby HEMI, owing to its small size. But this 241 cubic inch block was a powerhouse and Chrysler's answer to GM's V8s, bringing a new level of efficiency and speed to Dodge's lineup. The Red Ram debuted in the 1953 Coronet, where its 140 horsepower could launch the sedan from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 14 seconds, which was quick for the era. Although it was the smallest of Chrysler's HEMI family, it packed the same revolutionary hemispherical combustion chambers that defined the HEMI design. This architecture allowed for better airflow, improving power and efficiency. In 1954, Dodge upped the ante with a 4-barrel carburetor version that churned out 150 horsepower, offering even more punch for the brand's midsize and full-size cars. Replacing the dated inline-six, the Red Ram brought a new level of sophistication to Dodge's offerings. Its forged crankshaft, solid lifters, and high compression ratio made it a favorite among enthusiasts and racers alike. Though it wasn't as large or potent as its later siblings like the 426 HEMI, the Red Ram was a trailblazer, laying the groundwork for the muscle car era. The Red Ram's rarity comes from its short production run and limited use in Dodge models. While it appeared in cars like the Coronet and Meadowbrook, Dodge transitioned to larger displacement HEMIs in the mid-1950s. Finding a Red Ram-equipped classic in good condition is a challenge, making them prized among collectors. Auction prices for well-preserved models often exceed $50,000, especially for unique configurations or early production cars. On the track, the Red Ram's compact size and high revving nature made it a popular choice for custom builds and drag racers. Whether you're a collector or a Dodge loyalist, the Red Ram represents a golden age of American V8 innovation, and its value continues to climb as enthusiasts seek out this historic muscle car power gem. Coming in at number 28 is the Chevrolet Z11 V8. The Chevrolet Z11 V8 is a legend in muscle car lore. Introduced in 1963 as a purpose-built race engine, the Z11 powered select Chevy Impala sport coupes and was designed to dominate NASCAR and NHRA drag strips. Under the hood, this 427 cubic inch big block was a secret weapon, cranking out a factory-rated 480 horsepower, though insiders whispered it was closer to 500 plus ponies. These Impalas were built to fly, with some clocking the quarter mile in the low 12-second range. Manufactured in Tonawanda, New York, the Z11 was a marvel of engineering and a precursor to Chevy's iconic 427 Mark IV. It was an evolution of the 409, sharing its bore, but equipped with a stroke crankshaft, raising displacement and delivering insane low-end torque. The Z11 also featured lightweight aluminum heads and an aluminum intake manifold, shaving precious pounds off the nose of the car. The result? A race-ready big block that could outrun almost anything on the road or track. The Z11 debuted in the 1963 Chevrolet Impala, but this was no ordinary Impala. These cars were stripped-down, purpose-built racers, lacking creature comforts like air conditioning and even soundproofing. Chevy produced just 57 cars with the Z11 package, making it one of the rarest engines of the era. This exclusivity, combined with its racing pedigree, cemented its status as a collector's dream. What makes the Z11 extra special is its role as a bridge between the famed W-Series engines and the Mark IV big blocks. Its advanced design included canted valves for better airflow and a dual-quad carburetor setup, helping it inhale air and fuel like no tomorrow. Paired with a 4-speed manual transmission and a positive-traction rear end, the Z11 Impalas were practically unbeatable. Z11-equipped Impalas are the holy grail for Chevy collectors. With only a handful known to survive, these cars command astronomical prices, often exceeding $500,000 at auction. The Z11 isn't just an engine. It's a piece of Chevy's untouchable racing history, a time when Detroit wasn't afraid to push the envelope and dominate the competition. At number 27 is the Dodge 440 six-pack. The Dodge 440 six-pack, often dubbed the Triple Deuce Terror, was Chrysler's big block masterpiece, built to dominate the streets and strip with its no-nonsense power and jaw-dropping acceleration. Debuting in mid-1969, the high-performance version of the legendary 440 Magnum was crowned with a trio of Holley two-barrel carburetors perched on an aluminum intake manifold. With a throttle punch that woke the neighbors, the six-pack roared out 390 horsepower and 490 pounds of torque. But most gearheads knew those numbers were conservative. This beast powered icons like the Dodge Super Bee and Plymouth Roadrunner, turning quarter-mile times into bragging rights with runs in the 13-second range, and that's bone stock. Conceived at Chrysler's plants in Michigan, the 440 six-pack was an upgrade from the standard 440 Magnum. It featured beefier internals, a hotter camshaft, and a wind-sucking induction system that left competitors gasping. The six-pack was born to complement the high-performance 426 HEMI, offering similar thrills at a lower price. In street racing circles, the six-pack was the working man's HEMI, built for brawls at the red light or glory runs down the drag strip. The first car to carry the six-pack was the 1969 Dodge Super Bee A12, a stripped-down bruiser with a fiberglass lift-off hood, 15-inch black steel wheels, and a take-no-prisoners attitude. From there, the six-pack spread its dominance to other Mopar legends like the Dodge Charger, Plymouth GTX, and the fearsome Cuda. Available through 1971, the six-pack became synonymous with Mopar's muscle car heyday, going head-to-head with GM's 427 Tri-Power and Ford's Cobra Jet setups. What made the six-pack special wasn't just its triple-carb setup, it was the whole package. Paired with a 4-speed manual or Chrysler's bulletproof TorqueFlite automatic and backed by a Dana 60 rear axle, the six-pack cars were nearly indestructible. Today, original six-pack equipped cars are collector favorites, with pristine Super Bees or Roadrunners commanding $100,000 to $200,000 at auctions. Celebrities like Jay Leno have celebrated the six-pack's legacy, keeping its legend alive for new generations. For seasoned enthusiasts, the Dodge 440 six-pack isn't just an engine. It's a time capsule to the muscle car wars, where triple carbs meant triple the fun and double the trouble for competition. Moving on to number 26 is the Ford K-Code. The K-Code first sprung to life in the 1963 Fairlane and quickly made its way into icons like the 1965 through 67 Mustang GT, Mercury Comet, and Shelby GT350. Introduced in 1963, this little dynamo was a 289 cubic inch V8 that packed a punch way beyond its size. Nicknamed the Hypo, or High Performance, it screamed 271 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 312 pounds of torque at 3,400 RPM. Built at Ford's Cleveland engine plant, the Ford K-Code engine was all about performance prowess and came suited with a 10.5-to-1 compression ratio, solid lifters, a beefier camshaft, and a 4-barrel Autolite 4100 carburetor. Every K-Code had a special tag on the engine block, and only a few thousand cars, including 13,214 K-Code Mustangs, got this beast under the hood, making it a white whale for collectors today. You can spot a K-Code powered Ford with its special badge on the front fenders, indicating the engine displaces 289 cubic inches and is indeed the high-performance version. K-Code vehicles were typically mated with a 4-speed manual top-loader transmission, further solidifying its status as a true muscle car engine. While rare, some K-Code equipped cars are available with a C4 Cruise-O-Matic automatic transmission, primarily for convenience like the 3-speed auto green dot in the 66 Mustang GT. The K-code block was produced from 1963 to 1967, eventually being replaced by the larger 302 and 351 Windsor engines. The rarest cars equipped with the K-code engine include roughly 100 units of the 1964 half Mustang K-code convertibles, dubbed Early 65, and 1,000 units of the 1966 Shelby GT350 Hertz Rent-A-Car Racer, made specifically for Hertz, tweaked by Shelby Shop to produce a whopping 306 horsepower and 329 pounds of torque. Today, a classic muscle car with an original K-code engine is gold in the collector's world. A clean K-code Mustang Fastback can fetch north of $80,000, with rarer Shelby versions easily topping six figures. At number 25 is the Dodge 426 cubic inch Elephant Motor V8. The Dodge 426 cubic inch 7.0 liter Elephant Motor V8, nicknamed the Elephant HEMI, is a beast of an engine that first roared into life in 1964 and swept the top 3 spots at the Daytona 500 in that same year. With a top speed pushing 170 miles per hour and quarter-mile times dipping into the low 13-second range, the Elephant HEMI was born to dominate. The 426 HEMI earned its moniker thanks to its massive size, both in displacement and its intimidating look under the hood. Built at Chrysler's engine plant in Trenton, Michigan, the HEMI Elephant is one of the most revered motors in muscle car history. Over the years, there have been several versions of the HEMI engine lineup, from the 331 and 354 HEMI to the 426. The Elephant HEMI was the pinnacle, designed not just for street dominance, but also for NASCAR. It came with solid camshaft, a heavy-duty valve train, and a huge 10.25-to-1 compression ratio. The 426 HEMI went wild on the strip, cranking out 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM and 490 pounds of torque, a real game changer in the mid-60s. The first production car to rock the Elephant HEMI engine was the 1966 Plymouth Belvedere. Over the years, many legendary cars rolled off the production line with the Elephant under the hood, including the Dodge Charger, Dodge Super Bee, and Plymouth Roadrunner. The HEMI isn't just for car collectors either. Celebrities like Jay Leno are proud owners of a handful of HEMI Elephant muscles, like the 1970 HEMI Cuda. These cars are rare, with surviving models becoming prized collector's items today. Some of these HEMI-powered classics can fetch up to $150,000 or more at auction, depending on their condition and originality. Coming in at number 24 is the Chevrolet 427 Mark IV V8. Known in muscle car circles as the Rat Motor, or simply the Big Block 427, the Chevrolet 427 cubic inch Mark IV V8 hit the streets in the mid-1960s and immediately made waves. The Chevrolet 427 cubic inch V8 earned the Mark IV designation as part of Chevrolet's Mark series of big block engines. This legendary lineup of big block engines, introduced in the mid-1960s, succeeded Chevy's earlier W series big blocks and became the backbone of GM's performance lineup in that era. You'd find the Chevrolet 427 cubic inch Mark IV V8 snarling under the hoods of iconics like the Chevrolet Impala, Chevy Corvette, and Chevelle. With top speeds flirting with 140 miles per hour and quarter-mile runs in the 13-second range, this engine didn't just go fast, it crushed the competition. Conceived in GM's Tonawanda engine plant in New York, the Mark IV 427 came in a variety of flavors, from the L36 base model to the fire-breathing L88. The 427 stood out for its advanced engineering, solid lifters, forged steel crankshafts, and high-flow heads, collectively offering raw, unfiltered American horsepower. The first car to carry the Mark IV 427 was the 1966 Impala SS. But Chevy didn't stop there. This engine quickly found its way into the Corvette Stingray, Camaro ZL1, and was optional with the 1966 and 1967 Chevelle SS 396. The pinnacle of the lineup was the L88, officially rated at 430 horsepower, but made close to 500. The Mark IV 427 had a bore of 4.25 inches and a stroke of 3.76 inches, which mated with a 10.25-to-1 compression ratio resulted in maximum power, efficiency, and performance. Transmission options included a 4-speed Muncie manual or turbo-hydromatic automatic. Today, 427-equipped cars are some of the most sought-after collector vehicles. A pristine 427 Corvette can fetch well over $150,000, with rare L88 models skyrocketing to 7 figures. Celebs like Reggie Jackson and Rick Hendrick have been known to stash these gems in their muscle car arsenals, like the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro. The Chevrolet Mark IV V8 427 isn't just an engine, it's a piece of American muscle car history. Moving on to number 23 is the Ford 427 side-oiler V8. The Ford 427 cubic inch 7.0-liter side-oiler V8, dubbed simply as the 427 or the side-oiler, is a powerhouse that hit the muscle car scene in the early 1960s and quickly earned its spot in muscle car folklore. Whether it was under the hood of the iconic AC Cobra, a Ford Galaxy, or a NASCAR-ready Thunderbolt, the 427 delivered the kind of raw, unfiltered power that left the competition eating dust. Some of these cars blasted past 150 miles per hour and turned quarter miles in under 12 seconds, making them the kings of the drag strip. This monster of an engine was built at Ford's Dearborn plant, and it came in several flavors, including the center oiler, top oiler, and the beloved side oiler. The side oiler, introduced in 1965, was the peak of Ford's FE engine lineup. Its name stems from an external oil gallery running down the side of the block, a design meant to prioritize oil delivery to the crankshaft, ensuring durability at high RPMs, a crucial edge for racing. Inside the 427, you'd find a forged steel crankshaft, cross-bolted main bearings, and high-flow cylinder heads that screen performance. Depending on the version, it came with a single 4-barrel carburetor, dual quads, or even a wicked 8-stacked Weber carb setup. This beast churned out anywhere from 410 to 485 horsepower, depending on the tune, and a staggering 480 pounds of torque. The side oiler made its debut in the 1965 Ford Galaxy and quickly became the go-to for Ford's top-tier performance machines. With the right setup, cars powered by the 427 could hit the low 11-second range. Models like the Shelby Cobra 427 and the Fairlane Thunderbolt were built to dominate on and off the track, and today they're some of the most coveted collector's cars. Just ask guys like Jay Leno, who has the 1965 Shelby 427 Cobra competition tucked away in his garage. As for value, cars with the original 427 side oiler under the hood can fetch jaw-dropping prices at auctions. A pristine Cobra 427, you're looking at $1.5 million or more. Even a Galaxy or Fairlane with a 427 can cross 6 figures with ease. For muscle car enthusiasts, the side oiler isn't just an engine, it's a legacy. Coming in at 22 is the Pontiac 428 HO V8. the Pontiac 428 cubic inch 7.0-liter HO V8 isn't just an engine, it's a statement. Known for its incredible torque and street-savvy muscle, this powerhouse was introduced in 1967 and quickly became a favorite among Pontiac enthusiasts. Whether it was under the hood of a Bonneville, Catalina, or the sporty Grand Prix, the 428 HO delivered the goods, propelling these land yachts and boulevard bruisers to speeds north of 120 miles per hour. Back in the day, nothing said "let's race" like a rumbling 428. Built in Pontiac, Michigan, the 428 was part of the big block lineup designed to keep GM competitive in the escalating horsepower wars of the 1960s. Variants included the base 428, the higher output HO version, and eventually the rare and revered 428 Super Duty. But the HO struck the perfect balance of street and strip performance. Its nickname, the Torque Monster, says it all. This engine wasn't about subtlety. It was about brute force and blistering acceleration. The first car to debut the 428 HO was the 1967 Catalina 2x2, a full-size muscle car with attitude. Special features included a high-lift camshaft, free-flowing exhaust manifolds, and large valves for better breathing. Add in a 4-barrel quadrajet carburetor, and this beast was good for 376 horsepower and a thunderous 472 pounds of torque. Enough to leave the competition choking on dust. When paired with a 3-speed turbo-hydromatic or 4-speed manual transmission, the 428 HO could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6.5 seconds and crush the quarter mile in the mid-14-second range, a remarkable feat for cars tipping the scales at over 2 tons. Models that offered the 428 HO, like the Grand Prix and Bonneville Brougham, are now rare and command big bucks among collectors. Today, Pontiac 428 HO cars are prized trophies, with clean examples fetching anywhere from $50,000 to over $100,000, depending on originality and condition. Celebrities like Tim Allen have been known to covet these Pontiac masterpieces, further cementing their status as muscle car royalty. If you see a 428 HO car roll across the auction block, don't blink. It's more than a car. It's a piece of Detroit history that defined an era. At 21, we have the Buick 430 Wildcat V8. When Buick rolled out the 430 cubic inch 7.0-liter Wildcat V8 in 1967, it was all about raw power wrapped in sophistication. Dubbed the Wildcat for its ferocious bite, the Buick 430 V8 Wildcat replaced the earlier fabled 401 cubic inch nailhead V8 engines and roared under the hoods of Buick's luxury muscle machines, including the Riviera, Electra 225, and Wildcat models. With its high torque and smooth delivery, this engine made big, heavy Buicks sprint like jungle cats. We're talking 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds, and quarter mile times in the low 15 seconds. Pretty wild for a luxury car back then. Manufactured in Motor City, the 430 Wildcat V8 was a short-lived but legendary engine, produced only from 1967 to 1969. It featured a big bore, 4.1875 inches, and a short stroke, 3.9 inches, design, making it a torque monster, 475 pounds at just 3,200 RPM. Buick didn't skimp on durability either. The Wildcat sported a forged steel crankshaft, hydraulic lifters, and a Rochester Quadret 4-barrel carburetor that gulped fuel with glee. The 430 was first introduced in the 1967 Buick Riviera GS, where its 360 horsepower transformed the Riviera into a true gentleman's muscle car. Buick engineers also squeezed every ounce of performance out of the engine with a 10.25-to-1 compression and free-flowing cylinder heads, setting it apart from its GM siblings. Coupled with Buick's Super Turbine 400 automatic transmission, these land yachts weren't just fast, they were smooth. The 430 Wildcat found its way into the Electra, Wildcat, and LeSabre, but the Riviera GS remains its most iconic home. Finding one of these cars in pristine condition is like spotting Bigfoot. Low production numbers combined with the muscle car boom's focus on Chevelles and GTOs make these Buicks gold in the collector world. A 67 Riviera GS or Wildcat with the 430 Wildcat V8 is worth anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 today, depending on condition. And for good reason. This engine not only defined Buick's late 60s performance, but also remains a testament to GM's ability to blend brute force with high-end refinement. If you spot one at a car show or auction house, tip your hat. The Wildcat doesn't just purr, it growls. Moving on to number 20 is the Dodge 440 Magnum V8. The Dodge 440 Magnum V8, a 7.2-liter powerhouse, didn't just rule the streets, it owned them. Billed the king of torque in Mopar circles, the 440 Magnum first stormed onto the scene in 1966, debuting in muscle-bound legends like the Dodge Charger, Coronet, and Polara. Back then, it was all about big displacement, and Dodge answered with a brawler that could knock out 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds and rip the quarter mile in the mid-14 seconds. The 440 Magnum was built in Chrysler's Trenton, Michigan plant and came in 3 flavors: the base 440, the beefed-up 440 SE Magnum, and the legendary 440 6-pack with triple Holley 2-barrel carbs. The Magnum version stood out with its aggressive camshaft, high-flow intake, and tuned exhaust manifolds, designed to deliver 375 horsepower and a staggering 480 pounds of torque, perfect for turning tires into smoke. The 440 Magnum replaced Dodge's smaller 426 Wedge V8, slotting in as the big bruiser below the rare-bred 426 HEMI. What set the 440 apart was its versatility. It was fast, reliable, and a whole lot cheaper than the HEMI. Dodge loaded it into everything from street machines like the Charger RT to full-size cruisers like the 69 Monaco, making it the go-to engine for performance-minded buyers. The 440 Magnum featured a 4.32-inch bore and 3.75-inch stroke, an 8-barrel carburetor, and a 10.1-to-1 compression ratio. Pair it with the iconic TorqueFlite 727 automatic transmission or the toughest nails 4-speed manual, and you had a drivetrain ready to tear up the drag strips. Cars like the 68 Charger RT, Super B, and Coronet 500 became Mopar icons thanks to this engine. Today, finding these cars in mint condition is like unearthing treasure, with prices for a clean 440 powered Charger starting around $70,000 and climbing quickly. From Hollywood appearances, remember the Charger and Bullitt, to their rarity on modern roads, 440 powered Mopars are muscle car royalty. When you pop the hood on a 440 Magnum car, you're not just looking at an engine, you're staring at Mopar history, raw and unfiltered. At number 19 is the Oldsmobile 455 Rocket V8. When Oldsmobile unleashed the 455 cubic inch 7.5-liter Rocket V8 in 1968, they weren't just entering the muscle car game, they were rewriting the rules. Nicknamed the Rocket, this big block was all about massive torque, smooth power delivery, and bulletproof reliability. Whether it was propelling a 442 down the strip or cruising effortlessly in a Toronado, the 455 Rocket was a force to be reckoned with. In the right hands, these cars could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds and crush the quarter mile in the low 14s, leaving competitors in the dust. The 455 Rocket was built in Oldsmobile's Lansing, Michigan plant and was offered from 1968 to 1976. It replaced the smaller 425 Rocket V8, bringing more displacement and grunt to Oldsmobile's high-performance lineup. Variants included the standard 455, the high-output W30 package, and the ultra-rare Hertz-Olds 455, each upping the ante with performance tweaks like improved camshafts, higher flow carburetors, and free-breathing exhaust systems. The 455 Rocket made its debut in the 1968 Oldsmobile 442, where it cemented its reputation as a torque king. The 442 W30 package took things to another level, delivering 370 horsepower and a jaw-dropping 500 pounds of torque. Coupled with a close-ratio Muncie 4-speed manual or the durable TH400 automatic, this setup turned the 442 into a stoplight terror. The Rocket 455 powered a slew of iconic Oldsmobiles, including the Cutlass Supreme, Hertz-Olds, Tornado, and Vista Cruiser. The 1970 442 W30 and 1970 Hertz-Olds are especially sought after, with their aggressive styling and blistering performance. Cars with the W30 package boasted cold air induction, aluminum intakes, and performance-tuned suspensions, making them serious competitors on the drag strip. Today, a pristine 455 powered 442 W30 or Hertz-Olds can fetch $75,000 to $150,000 at auction, depending on rarity and condition. The Oldsmobile 455 Rocket isn't just an engine, it's an era. If you're lucky enough to hear one rumble, you'll know why it's called the Rocket. Up next, at 18, is the Ford 289 V8. When Ford rolled out the 289 cubic inch V8 in 1963, it proved that you didn't need a monster engine to dominate the streets. Dubbed the small block powerhouse, the 289 brought big performance in a compact package. Whether it was under the hood of the iconic 1965 Mustang, the sleek Fairlane, or even the fiery Shelby GT350, this engine earned its stripes on the streets and the track. With high-performance hypo version, 0 to 60 mph times dipped under 7 seconds, and quarter miles came in the mid-15s, a serious punch for its size. The 289 was part of the legendary Windsor small block family and replaced the smaller 221 and 260 V8s, offering more displacement and a broader appeal. Variants included the standard 2-barrel carburetor version, a slightly beefier 4-barrel version, and the infamous K-Code Hypo, short for High Performance Engine, which cranked out 271 horsepower and featured a solid lifter camshaft, dual-point ignition, and stronger internals. The 289 debuted in the 1963 Ford Fairlane and quickly found its way into a lineup of Ford's hottest rides. But it was the 1965 Ford Mustang that truly made the 289 a household name. The K-Code Hypo 289 powered early Shelby GT350s, turning the pony car into a track-ready menace. The K-Code 289 was a compact marvel, still boasting 271 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 312 pounds of torque at 3,400 RPM, a 4-inch bore, and 2.87-inch stroke. Paired with the top-loader 4-speed manual and C4 automatic, it was a joy to drive. The 289-powered Shelby GT350 and early K-Code Mustangs are highly sought after today, with pristine examples fetching $150,000 to $300,000. Even a clean, standard 289 Mustang can pull in $40,000 to $70,000. Celebrities like Steve McQueen helped immortalize this engine in movies like Bullitt, where the 1968 Ford Mustang GT390 small block grunt stole the show. Whether you're cruising or racing, the Ford 289 V8 isn't just a motor, it's an icon. Its lightweight punch and versatility make it one of the all-time greats, and its rumble still turns heads at car shows today. At number 17 is the Pontiac 389 6.4-liter V8 engine. The Pontiac 389 cubic-inch 6.4-liter V8, nicknamed the Trophy V8, was the big block bruiser that lit the fuse for the muscle car revolution. Introduced in 1959, this motor became the beating heart of Pontiac's performance lineup. By the time it made its way into the groundbreaking 1964 GTO, the 389 cemented its legacy. With the tri-power setup that arrived complete with 3 two-barrel carbs, the 389 cranked out a max 370 horsepower and could launch a GTO from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds. Homemade at Pontiac's engine plant in Michigan, the 389 was part of the brand's legendary Trophy V8 family and was available in several variants, including a 2-barrel version for the mild-mannered driver and a Savage tri-power setup with 3 Rochester 2-barrel carburetors for the gearheads who wanted max power and bragging rights. The 389 made its first appearance in the 1959 Pontiac Catalina, but it really hit its stride in the mid-60s, powering iconic cars like the GTO, Bonneville, Grand Prix, and the Tempest Le Mans. The GTO, in particular, turned the 389 into a legend, with its tri-power setup, aggressive camshaft, and free-flowing exhaust manifolds. Add a Muncie 4-speed manual or a sturdy Hydromatic automatic, and you had a street-legal rocket that could embarrass just about anything at the stoplight. The 1964 to 1966 Pontiac GTOs with the 389 tri-power are among the most sought-after muscle cars today. Well-preserved examples can fetch $75,000 to $150,000, while pristine numbers-matching models can go even higher. Celebrities like the late Paul Walker were known fans of the GTO, helping keep the 389's legacy alive in modern muscle car culture. Cars fitted with the 389 V8 are collector darlings, not just for their performance, but for their role in muscle car history. If you ever hear the roar of a tri-powered GTO, know you're in the presence of one of Detroit's greatest hits. Moving on to number 16 is the Ford 428 Cobra Jet 7-liter engine. The Ford 428 Cobra Jet, affectionately called the CJ, wasn't just an engine. It was a street legend that left competitors eating its dust. Dropped into the scene in 1968, this 7.0-liter monster was all about raw power and performance. First unveiled in the 1968 Mustang GT500 KR, the Cobra Jet was an instant hit, dominating quarter-mile strips and staking its claim as the go-to weapon for serious muscle car fans. Cars powered by the 428 Cobra Jet could rip through the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds. And that's with showroom tires. Tune it right, and you'd have a real contender on your hands. Born in Ford's Michigan engine plants, the 428 Cobra Jet was essentially a modified FE big block, borrowing the lightweight block of the 428 Police Interceptor and beefing it up with high-flow heads, a race-ready camshaft, and a performance-tuned carburetor. Ford wasn't messing around. This wasn't just a high-performance engine. It was an engineering flex meant to crush anything Chevy or Mopar could throw at it. The Cobra Jet made its debut in the 1968.5 Mustang GT Fastback, dubbed the Drag Pack, and soon found its way into other muscle car legends like the Fairlane, Torino, and Mercury Cougar Eliminator. The engine was available from 1968 to 1970, replacing the earlier 390 FE V8 as Ford's high-performance choice. Special components like forged pistons, an oil cooler, and a reinforced bottom end made it almost bulletproof for its time. What makes the 428 CJ rare is how underrated it was by the factory. Officially rated at 335 horsepower, it was more like 400 plus horsepower in real-world conditions, giving it an edge on both the street and the strip. Paired with either a top-loader 4-speed manual or the durable C6 automatic, the Cobra Jet was built to take punishment. Today, cars powered by the 428 Cobra Jet are highly collectible. An original 1968 Mustang GT 500 KR or 1969 Torino Cobra Jet can fetch $100,000 to $300,000 depending on condition. Celebrities like Steve McQueen and Carroll Shelby have ties to this engine's legacy, further cementing its status in the top muscle car ranks. Now on to number 15 with the Pontiac 455 Super Duty. The Pontiac 455 Super Duty, or simply SD455, wasn't just an engine. It was Pontiac's bold statement to the looming end of the muscle car era. Introduced in 1973, this fire-breathing big block was a rare beast, engineered to defy the tightening noose of emissions regulations and insurance premiums. Dropped into the Firebird Trans Am and Formula, the SD455 turned heads and smoked tires, boasting a factory rating of 310 horsepower. But those in the know understood Pontiac was sandbagging. The real number was closer to 370 or 375 horsepower, with torque pushing north of 500 pounds. On the strip, a properly tuned SD455 could run the quarter mile in the high 13-second range, embarrassing most of its competition. Built at Pontiac's engine plants in Michigan, the 455 Super Duty was a completely re-engineered block, not just a hopped-up version of the standard 455. With a reinforced bottom end, forged rods and pistons, a high-flow oiling system, and specially cast cylinder heads, this engine was built to dominate. It was initially developed for racing before Pontiac snuck it into production cars, making it a street-legal monster. The SD455 first appeared in the 1973 Firebird Trans Am, a muscle car that looks as mean as it performed, with its screaming chicken hood decal and aggressive stance. Available through 1974, the SD455 was a performance swan song in an era dominated by smog-choked motors. Pontiac had intended to install the SD455 in the GTO and Grand Am, but corporate politics and tightening emissions killed those plans, making the Firebirds its exclusive home. The SD455 is a rare gem. Only 252 Trans Ams and 43 formulas got the engine in 1973, with 943 Trans Ams and 57 formulas in 1974. That scarcity has turned these cars into blue-chip collectibles, with pristine examples fetching $100,000 to $200,000 at auction. Even today, the SD455 is revered as one of the last true muscle car engines. It represented a defiant stand against the decline of performance, a nod to the golden age of horsepower. At number 14, we have the Buick 455 Stage 1. The Buick 455 Stage 1, often called the gentleman's muscle engine, was proof that Buick could deliver muscle with a touch of refinement. First soaring onto the scene in 1970, this powerhouse made its debut in the GS 455 and GSX, packing a wallop that left competitors scrambling. Rated at a modest 360 horsepower, the Stage 1 455 was notoriously underrated, with real-world dyno figures revealing closer to 400 horsepower and a monstrous 510 pounds of torque, perhaps the highest of any muscle car engine of its era. This torque monster could catapult the GSX to 60 miles per hour in just under 6 seconds, and tear through the quarter mile in the low 13s, leaving plenty of jaws on the floor. The 455 Stage 1 was built in Buick's Flint, Michigan hangar, where engineers tweaked the standard 455 block into a performance masterpiece. Upgraded heads with larger valves, a higher compression ratio, and a hotter camshaft set the Stage 1 455 apart. Added to the party, a specially tuned quadrajet carb and a low-restriction dual exhaust system, and you had a big block that punched well above its weight. It replaced Buick's 400 V8, bringing a new level of street-savvy performance to the brand's lineup. The engine first appeared in the 1970 Buick GS 455, a muscle car that looked as sharp as it ran. From 1970 to 1974, the Stage 1 455 remained the crown jewel of Buick's performance catalog, though emissions regulations dulled its teeth slightly after 1971. Even in its tamer forms, it remained a torque-rich beast, capable of humbling more famous names on the street or strip. What makes the 455 Stage 1 so legendary is its rarity and brute force. Buick wasn't known as a muscle car brand, so fewer Stage 1 equipped models were built compared to rivals from Pontiac, Chevrolet, and Dodge. A pristine GSX Stage 1 today can fetch upwards of $100,000, with more common GS 455 Stage 1s still commanding serious cash. Coming in at 13 is the Chevrolet 454 LS6. The Chevrolet 454 LS6 wasn't just an engine, it was a legend. Known as the King Rat, this big block brute hit the streets in 1970, dropping jaws and frying tires in cars like the Chevelle SS 454, El Camino, and even the Corvette. Rated at 450 ponies and a mind-bending 500 pounds of torque, the LS6 was one of the most powerful engines to ever roll off a production line. Straight from the factory, LS6-equipped Chevelles could crush the quarter mile between 13.2 and 13.8 seconds, embarrassing anything unlucky enough to line up next to them. Made in Tonawanda, New York, the LS6 was Chevrolet's top-tier version of the 454 cubic inch big block. It wasn't just a bored-out 427. It was a fire-breathing evolution. The LS6 replaced the 427 as Chevy's high-performance flagship, featuring aluminum pistons, a forged steel crank, high-flow rectangular port heads, and an aggressive solid lifter camshaft. The 800 CFM Holley carb sitting atop an aluminum intake ensured the LS6 could guzzle enough air and fuel to dominate the drag strip or the highway. The 1970 Chevelle SS 454 was the LS6's launchpad, and what a debut it was. With its cowl induction hood, bold stripes, and an unmistakable growl, the Chevelle SS was pure intimidation on wheels. Available only for one glorious year, 1970, the LS6 represented the peak of muscle car performance before emissions regulations and rising insurance premiums began to choke the horsepower wars. The LS6 cars were fitted with either a 4-speed Muncie manual or a turbo-hydromatic 400 automatic, paired with beefy 12-bolt rear ends and options like posed traction to keep all that power in check. Only 4,475 1970 LS6 equipped Chevelles were made, making them the most sought-after vehicles of the era, with pristine examples commanding $150,000 to $250,000 under HEMI, depending on rarity and condition. Enthusiasts and collectors alike revere the 454 LS6 for what it represents: raw, unfiltered American muscle. Up next at 12 is the Chevrolet L72 V8. The Chevrolet L72 427 V8 was the stuff legends are made of: raw, untamed power wrapped in a bow tie badge. This big block beast, introduced in 1966, was a factory hot rod motor that turned the full-size Impala, Corvette, and Biscayne into street-dominating monsters. With a claimed 425 horsepower, the L72 V8 packed a punch that could easily smoke the competition. In reality, it was underrated. Dyno tests revealed closer to 450 horsepower. An L72 equipped car could rip down the quarter mile in 12.8 seconds at over 110 miles per hour. The L72 was built at Chevrolet's engine plants in Tonawanda, New York, the home of Chevy's big block power plants. It was a natural evolution of the earlier 396 big block, designed to take on the fiercest muscle cars of the mid-60s. First appearing in the 1966 Corvette and Impala SS 427, the L72 was available through 1969. And while it didn't officially replace the 396, it offered a massive leap in performance for those who craved more power. This big block beauty was a thoroughbred from inside out. High-flow rectangular port heads, a solid lifter cam, 11:1 compression ratio, and a Holley 4-barrel carburetor ensured it gulped air and fuel like it was going out of style. The bottom end was built to last too, with forged pistons, a forged steel crank, and beefy connecting rods ensuring durability, even when the tach swung deep into the red. Paired with a 4-speed Muncie manual or a turbo-hydromatic automatic, the L72 was ready to put down the kind of numbers that made rivals nervous. Cars with the L72 were sleepers in many cases. Think Biscayne 2-door post sedan, a bare-bones rocket that left muscle car royalty biting dust. Cars powered by the L72 are highly sought after, with the rarest fetching $100,000 to $250,000, depending on condition and pedigree. Owning a L72 88 racehorse isn't just about speed, it's a ticket to muscle car history. Next in at number 11 is the AMC 401 V8 engine. The AMC 401 V8 was a powerhouse in its heyday, embodying the rugged spirit of the brand. Taking the stage in 1971, this 401 cubic inch beast became the pinnacle of AMC's V8 lineup and was tucked away in iconic models like the AMC Javelin AMX, Ambassador, and Matador from 1971 through 1974, and the Jeep Wagoneer until the end of 1978. In muscle cars like the Javelin, it cranked out a staggering 330 horsepower and 430 pounds of torque under SAE gross ratings, offering quarter-mile times in the mid-14-second range, a respectable feat for the era. The AMC 401 V8 engine was conceived at AMC's Kenosha, Wisconsin facility and was essentially an evolution of the earlier AMC V8 design, replacing the 390 V8 engine. It carried a unique set of features that set it apart, including a forged steel crankshaft, beefy connecting rods, and a large 4.165-inch bore. The AMC 401's performance-focused design made it a favorite among muscle car enthusiasts, and even off-roaders who needed the grunt of their Jeep, trucks, and SUVs. Produced from 1971 to 1979, the AMC 401 became a legend for its versatility, capable of powering both muscle cars and heavy-duty off-road vehicles. The engine was most common in full-size AMC cars and Jeeps, but was also a rare option in performance-focused Matadors and Javelin. While not as widely produced as competitors' big block engines, its limited numbers and association with now classic models make it a sought-after collectible today. The 401 V8's rarity and cult status drive its value. Cars equipped with this engine, especially performance versions like the Javelin AMX or Jeep Wagoneer, command a premium in the collector market, with pristine examples fetching tens of thousands of dollars. At number 10, we have the Boss 429 V8. The Boss 429 V8, often simply called the Boss 9, is a legend in the muscle car world. Introduced by Ford in 1969, this powerhouse engine was designed to dominate the streets and NASCAR tracks. The engine made its first appearance in the '69 Mustang Fastback, forever linking it to one of Ford's most iconic muscle cars. These beasts could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 6.8 seconds, with top speeds reaching 140 miles per hour. Although Ford rated the engine at 375 horsepower, it was believed to produce over 500 horsepower. Manufactured in Michigan by Ford, the Boss 429 V8 wasn't your typical V8. It was a purpose-built, high-performance machine. Ford made only a limited number of these engines, producing just 859 units in 1969 and another 499 in 1970, which makes them some of the rarest muscle car engines ever. The Boss 429 replaced the 428 Cobra Jet in the Mustang lineup, a move that was more about handling NASCAR regulations than a shift in road car performance. Ford needed a more competitive engine for the big leagues, so they pulled out all the stops with the Boss 429. The engine had a special set of components that made it unique. It featured a massive 429 cubic inch displacement, forged steel crankshaft, and a Holley 735 CFM carburetor, designed to feed the engine's massive appetite for air and fuel. Its special aluminum intake manifold and heads were semi-hemispherical, making it one of the most powerful and distinct V8s ever produced. The rarity of the Boss 429 V8 is part of what makes it so valuable. With its production limited to just over 1,300 engines, and the extensive modifications made to the Mustang to accommodate it, This engine is one of the most coveted in muscle car history. The Boss 429 powered Mustangs were equipped with a 4-speed manual transmission, and with the right tuning, they could smash the quarter mile in a low 14-second range, which was blistering fast for the time. Jay Leno's garage is home to a rare 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 429, adding it to his impressive lineup of classic muscle cars. Muscle cars with the Boss 9 are collector's gold, often fetching prices over $300,000 under the hammer, depending on the condition. Coming in at 9 is the Chevrolet 350 small block V8 LT1. The Chevrolet 350 small block V8 LT1, dubbed the LT1, is a powerhouse that turned heads when it roared into production in the late 60s. Born out of Chevrolet's performance division, this engine was designed for enthusiasts who crave the best of both worlds, power and reliability. Taking flight in the 1970 Corvette, the LT1 quickly became a legend. Boasting 370 horsepower from just 350 cubic inches, the LT1 was a performance engine that made the Corvette fly with a top speed of around 140 miles per hour. The Chevy 350 LT1 was an upgrade to the previous 327 engine, offering more power and better handling. The key to its success? A higher compression ratio, larger valves, and a unique camshaft that could handle more RPMs. Not only did the Chevrolet LT1 pack a punch, but its solid engineering meant it could keep running strong while other engines faltered. Apart from the 1970 Chevrolet Corvette, the engine was also offered in the 1970 Camaro Z28, making it a powerful contender in both street and racing circles. The 350 LT1 was available until 1972, after which stricter emissions regulations caused Chevrolet to pull it from production. These engines were rare due to limited production numbers and their specific tuning for high performance. In fact, only around 1,200 1970 Corvettes were equipped with the LT1, making them incredibly valuable today. Its rarity combined with its performance capabilities has made it a sought-after engine among collectors. With specs that include a 10.25-to-1 compression ratio, a Rochester Quadrajet carburetor, and solid lifter camshaft, the LT1 was one of the most potent small block engines ever made. The LT1's quarter mile time could easily dip into high 13s, especially in lighter cars like the Corvette, and its transmission options included the Muncie M21 4-speed manual, which allowed drivers to really put that power to the pavement. Muscle cars with the 350 small block V8 LT1 are highly coveted. A fully restored 1970 Corvette LT1 can fetch upwards of $80,000 or more, depending on condition and originality. This engine is considered by many to be one of the best small block V8s ever made, and the cars it powered are iconic symbols of American muscle car performance. Moving on to number 8 is the Pontiac 400 Ram Air 4. The Pontiac 400 Ram Air 4 is a true masterpiece of GM's performance era. Debuting in 1969, this high-compression V8 became the heart and soul of Pontiac's muscle car lineup, including the GTO, Firebird, and iconic GTO Judge. Rated at a conservative 370 horsepower, it was a street brawler, but in reality, it packed closer to 400 RPM. With a quarter-mile time flirting with 13 seconds and a top speed of over 120 miles per hour, it was built for domination. The Ram Air 4 was an evolution of the earlier Ram Air 3, but it cranked the performance up a notch. Introduced in the GTO and Firebird, this engine ran from 1969 to 1970, serving as Pontiac's answer to competitors like the Boss 429 and HEMI 426. It replaced the Ram Air 3 and was a step ahead with its free-breathing round port heads, a high-lift camshaft, and forged aluminum pistons, all optimized for maximum airflow and durability. The Pontiac GTO Judge equipped with the Ram Air 4 is among the rarest of Pontiac muscle cars, and their scarcity makes them a treasure today. It arrived loaded with round port cylinder heads, massive valves, a performance-tuned exhaust, and a robust valve train, which collectively made it a high-revving powerhouse. Mated to either a 4-speed manual or a turbo-hydromatic 400 automatic, the Pontiac Ram Air 4 was ready for street or strip. The GTO Ram Air 4 could hit 60 miles per hour in just over 5 seconds, a blistering pace for its time. Today, these vehicles are among the most sought-after collector cars, with values soaring past $250,000 for well-preserved examples. Up next at 7 is the Cadillac 500 V8. The Cadillac 500 V8 engine is a titan of American power, introduced in 1970 to power Cadillac's luxury fleet. It made its first appearance in the 1970 Eldorado Coupe, combining luxury and performance like no other. With 400 horsepower and a whopping 550 pounds of torque, this engine could haul these heavyweight Cadillacs from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 8 seconds, a feat unheard of for such massive luxury vehicles. The 500 V8 was a significant upgrade from the 472 cubic inch engine it replaced. It shared its architecture with the smaller Cadillac big blocks, but had an expanded bore and stroke to achieve its enormous displacement. The 500 V8's high nickel content block ensured durability, and with a 10-to-1 compression ratio in its early years, it was designed to dominate both the highway and the drag strip. Available from 1970 to 1976, the Cadillac 500 V8 started as a high-performance engine, but gradually transitioned to prioritize smoothness and fuel economy due to the oil embargo and tightening emissions regulations. By 1976, power output had dropped significantly to around 190 horsepower due to lower compression and catalytic converter requirements, but the torque remained impressive. What made the Cadillac 500 V8 rare wasn't just its displacement, it was the vehicles it powered. Initially exclusive to the Eldorado, it later found its way into other Cadillacs, but not in high-performance tune. Early versions of the 500 with higher compression are highly sought after by muscle car enthusiasts and hot rodders, who recognize their potential for modification. With a few tweaks, these engines can easily push beyond 500 horsepower, making them favorites for engine swaps. Only a fraction of Cadillacs produced between 1970 and 1976 came with the 500 V8 in its prime configuration. These cars are cherished collectibles today, with restored versions selling anywhere from $30,000 to $70,000. At number 6 is the Chrysler 440 TNT V8. The Chrysler 440 TNT V8 debuted in the mid-1960s and was a powerhouse designed to showcase Mopar's engineering dominance. Called the 440 TNT, it was a high-performance version of Chrysler's 440 cubic inch engine. The Chrysler 440 TNT fitted in luxury muscle cars like the Chrysler 300, Dodge Polara, and Plymouth Fury, delivering a factory-rated 375 horsepower and 480 pounds of torque, enough grunt to push these heavyweights well over 120 miles per hour. For a big block and full-size sedans, this engine was no slouch, and earned its reputation for brutal acceleration and smooth cruising. Manufactured at Chrysler's Trenton engine plant in Michigan, the 440 TNT was part of the RB block family, a category of Mopar big block engines with a raised block, or taller deck height than the B engine. It featured upgrades over the standard 440, like a higher compression ratio, a more aggressive camshaft, and a 4-barrel Carter carburetor. This beast replaced the 413 Max Wedge in Chrysler's performance lineup, offering a broader appeal and better reliability. The 440 TNT engine's robust internals like forged steel crankshafts and heavy-duty connecting rods made it a favorite among performance enthusiasts who wanted both power and longevity. First appearing in the 1966 Chrysler 300, the TNT package remained an option through the early 1970s. It found its way into a variety of Mopar sports cars, station wagons, and luxury sedans, proving that power wasn't just for two-door coupes. Cars like the Dodge Monaco and Plymouth Sport Fury equipped with the 440 TNT were rare to begin with, as Chrysler limited production to select trim levels and performance buyers. The 440 TNT was a quarter-mile champ, clocking times in the mid-14-second range in full-size sedans and dipping into the 13s with lighter cars or minor tuning. Transmission options included Chrysler's legendary TorqueFlite 727 automatic, known for its durability and precise shifts, which perfectly complemented the TNT's relentless torque. Powerhouses equipped with the 440 TNT engine were revered by collectors. While not as flashy as a HEMI, the 440 TNT delivers a balance of power, refinement, and exclusivity. Values for these Mopar legends vary depending on the model and condition, but a well-kept Chrysler 300 or Dodge Monaco with a 440 TNT package can easily reap upwards of $50,000. At number 5, we have the Ford 429 Thunderjet V8. The 429 Thunderjet V8, Ford's bold entry into the big block performance arena, thundered onto the scene in 1968. Designed to power full-size models like the Thunderbird and Galaxy, this engine brought muscle car swagger to the luxury lineup. With a factory rating of 360 horsepower and 480 pounds of torque, the Thunderjet V8 wasn't just about cruising. It packed a serious punch, capable of propelling these hefty machines to impressive speeds north of 120 miles per hour. The 429 Thunderjet V8 was part of Ford's new 385 series engines. It was commissioned as a replacement for the aging FE series engines, offering more modern engineering and better performance potential. The Thunderjet was the base version of the 429 lineup, distinct in its Cobra Jet and Super Cobra Jet siblings, but still a force to be reckoned with. Its components included a cast iron block, hydraulic lifters, and a 4-barrel carburetor, ensuring reliability and power. For those who wanted extra grunt, Ford offered high-performance variants with different camshafts and induction setups. The Thunderjet took center stage in 1968 and was available through 1973. It powered a wide range of Ford models, including the Galaxy, Thunderbird, and the occasional Mercury Cougar or Marquis. While it wasn't marketed as a pure muscle car engine, its performance characteristics ensured it was no slouch on the drag strip. With the right gearing and a bit of tuning, these cars could run the quarter mile in the low 15s, a respectable feat for the era. Rare gems with the 429 Thunderjet are rising in collector circles. While not as rare as the Cobra Jet or Super Cobra Jet variants, these models are appreciated for their blend of luxury and performance. You'll find Thunderbirds and Galaxies with the 429 Thunder Jet going under the hammer for upwards of $30,000 in fair condition. Up next at 4, we have the AMC 390 V8. The AMC 390 V8 is billed as a high-performance powerhouse from American Motors Corporation that stepped into the muscle engine arena in 1968, showing up in muscle car legends like the AMX and Javelin SST. This engine had muscle car fans buzzing with its ability to churn out a factory-rated 315 horsepower and 425 pounds of torque, propelling these cars to top speeds of more than 120 miles per hour. It didn't just run, it sprinted, capable of tackling the quarter mile in the high 14-second range straight out of the showroom floor. The 390 was built at AMC's Kenosha, Wisconsin facility and showcased AMC's commitment to muscle car performance. Variants of the engine featured different compression ratios, including a hotter version for track enthusiasts. It first flexed its muscle under the hood of the two-seat AMX, a car designed to challenge the dominance of Detroit's Big Three. Produced from 1968 to 1970, the 390 replaced the smaller AMC 343, delivering more grunt and a wider torque band to compete with big block rivals. What made the AMC 390 stand out wasn't just its raw power, it was a meticulously engineered engine. The forged steel crankshaft and connecting rods, along with its large-bore short-stroke design, meant it could handle high RPMs without breaking a sweat. AMC even tailored its intake and exhaust manifolds for better airflow, ensuring this motor breathed deep and ran hard. Over its brief 3-year production run, fewer than 20,000 cars were fitted with the AMC 390 V8, making them sought after by collectors today. Cars like the AMX and Javelin SST equipped with the 390 are rare gems, prized for their potent mix of performance and exclusivity. These cars hold their own at auction, with pristine examples attracting bids between $40,000 and $80,000. While not as universally recognized as the big blocks from Ford or Chevy, the AMC 390 earned its stripes through a short lifetime. Moving on to number 3 is the Oldsmobile 455 W30 V8. The Oldsmobile 455 W30 V8 is a name that stirs the soul of muscle car aficionados. Called the W30, this beast came into existence in 1968 and became a cornerstone of Oldsmobile's performance lineup. It was most famously nestled under the hood of the 442, Olds' top-tier muscle machine. With a factory rating of 370 horsepower and a crushing 500 pounds of torque, this engine was a torque monster that made the quarter mile disappear in the low 14s, with skilled drivers pushing even faster. The W30 was Oldsmobile's answer to the big block arms race of the late 60s and early 70s. It replaced the smaller 400 V8 in the 442, offering a serious power boost and cementing Oldsmobile's reputation for marrying power with engineering finesse. It featured special components like a hotter camshaft, a low-restriction air intake system, and an aluminum intake manifold, making it more than just a hopped-up version of the standard 455. The 455 W30 debuted in the 1968 442 and continued through 1972, with each year bringing slight refinements. Only a few thousand were made each year, adding to their rarity. By 1970, the W30 package was hitting its stride, with 0 to 60 mph times in the 5-second range, and quarter-mile runs dipping into the high 13s when properly tuned. The engine came with a choice of 4-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic, with both options delivering jaw-dropping performance. Cars equipped with the W30 are rare today, with models like the 1970 442 W30 going for upwards of $100,000 at auctions in top condition. The W30 remains a legend, embodying the peak of Oldsmobile performance. Whether ripping through drag strips or cruising local streets, it was, and still is, a force to be reckoned with. Up at number 2 is the Chevrolet 402 SS 396 V8. The Chevrolet 402 cubic inch V8, famously tied to the SS 390 badge, brings a mix of muscle car lore and corporate twists. First introduced in 1970 and found in cars like the Chevelle SS, Camaro SS, and Nova SS, the Chevrolet 402 V8 engine churned out up to 375 horsepower in top trims, delivering blistering quarter-mile times in the low 14-second range, depending on the setup. Originating from GM's Tonawanda engine plant, the 402 offered variants tailored for drag and street. It was positioned as a successor to the 396, maintaining the same stroke while increasing bore size to 4.125 inches. The 402 featured components like forged steel cranks, high-performance cylinder heads, and a Rochester quadrajet carburetor, depending on the configuration. What set it apart was its versatility, equally at home in boulevard bruisers and drag strip demons. Production numbers for 402 equipped cars are somewhat elusive due to the continued 396 badging. However, SS models with the engine remain sought after today. Whether in a Chevelle, Camaro, or Nova, these cars carried the power of the big block as well as the best of Chevy's muscle car era. Collectors prize these vehicles for their blend of performance and history, with prices ranging between $50,000 to over $100,000. Performance specs varied based on trim and tuning, but high output versions achieved top speeds near 140 miles per hour, with quarter-mile times in the low 14s. Today, the 402-powered SS cars are collectors' gems, admired for their rarity and performance. Finally, at number 1 in the greatest engine from the golden era of muscle cars is the Chevrolet L88 V8. The Chevrolet L88 V8 engine is one of the most legendary power plants in the history of muscle cars. This 427 cubic inch beast was introduced in 1967, designed primarily for racing, but made available to the public as an option for the Corvette. Known for its raw power and racing pedigree, the L88 was an engine built to tear up the track. In stock form, it was rated at 430 horsepower, though most experts agree it was pushing more like 500 horsepower out of the factory, making it one of the most potent engines of its era. With the right setup, cars with this engine could blast down the quarter mile in the low 13-second range. Impressive for a muscle car in the late 60s. The L88 featured several unique components that set it apart from its peers. It had a high compression, 12.5:1 ratio, solid lifters, a massive aluminum intake manifold, and a high-flow Holley carburetor. These components gave the L88 not only power, but also precision and durability. It was offered as an option for the 1967 to 1969 Chevrolet Corvette, which immediately gave these cars a massive performance boost. The L88 replaced the L71 engine, which was a 427 cubic inch V8 that didn't offer the same race-ready features. The L88 was rare for several reasons. First, only about 216 Corvettes were sold with the L88 option between 1967 and 1969, making these cars incredibly scarce today. It was also a factory-installed engine for buyers who were serious about performance, as it came with a hefty price tag and was intended for racing enthusiasts who wanted more than just a street-friendly engine. When it comes to performance, the L88 was a track-ready powerhouse. Its top speed was over 150 miles per hour, and with the right gear ratio and transmission, it could rip through the quarter mile in just over 13 seconds. The L88 powered Corvette was offered with a variety of transmission options, including a 4-speed manual, and it came with rear-end gear ratios designed for maximum performance. Today, these L88 equipped Corvettes are among the most rare collector cars in the world. Prices for well-maintained examples often exceed $500,000, with some even crossing the $1 million mark at auction. The rarity of the L88, combined with its legendary racing heritage, makes it a gem in the muscle car world.